Picture this. You wake up to a heavy, unnatural silence. Outside you find your prize cattle slaughtered. Not just killed, but surgically mutilated under a sky that's still flashing with strange lights. The wounds are impossibly clean. With no blood, no sign of a struggle, your dogs won't go near the pasture, whimpering with their tails tucked. So, you grab your rifle, instinct, you march out into the pre-dawn gloom, and then you see it. A wolf, but this thing is the size of a small horse, its eyes glowing a malevolent red. You raise your rifle, squeeze the trigger, bang, then another and another, but the bullets seem to bounce right off its hide. The creature doesn't flinch, it just watches. That, my friends, isn't a movie trailer. That's a reported Tuesday night on Skinwalker Ranch, nestled deep in the Uinta Basin of Utah, and it's only the beginning. This isn't just some campfire ghost story. This is the case file on a 512-acre plot of land, so baffling that even the Pentagon couldn't ignore it. Locals just call it the ranch, a name whispered with a mixture of fear and respect. Scientists have dubbed it the anomaly, a place that seems to defy the known laws of physics. And for the better part of 3 decades, and arguably centuries before that, every attempt to explain what is happening here has slammed into an impenetrable wall. It's like trying to catch smoke. The closer you look, the weirder it gets. So today we're doing a full sweep. We're going chronological from ancient whispers to modern day high-tech surveillance. We're going to dissect witness statements, sift through the data, and confront the one question that nobody, not ranchers, not scientists, not even the government, can definitively answer. Is Skinwalker Ranch a portal to somewhere else? The bizarre phenomena at Skinwalker Ranch didn't just pop up out of nowhere. Long before settlers fenced this land, the area was already steeped in ancient myth. The Ute tribe, whose ancestral lands were just northeast of the ranch, and the Navajo, who resided to the south, both shared chilling narratives about this particular stretch of land. They spoke of the path of the Skinwalker, a place where the veil between worlds felt dangerously thin. According to these traditions, a skinwalker is a medicine man who breaks sacred taboos and twists their power for dark ends, gaining the ability to physically morph into animals. The Navajo word for them literally translates to, "with it, he goes on all fours." These were entities of immense power, deeply feared for their capacity to inflict sickness and death. The air around the ranch, even then, was considered a place to be avoided. Fast forward to the 1800s. European settlers arrived and found fertile land, but also something unsettling: mutilated livestock. Carcasses would be discovered with no tracks leading to or from them, no blood on the ground, and organs removed with a surgical precision that baffled seasoned ranchers. Some reports mentioned cauterized cuts, suggesting a heat source far beyond what was available at the time. By the 1950s, the Uinta Basin had earned the nickname UFO Alley as the night sky lit up with silent orbs and strange craft. Then, in 1975, a local teacher snapped a Polaroid of a metallic disc hovering over a dirt road. The photo made the front page of the local newspaper with a headline that echoed the growing unease: "Something's out there." So when Terry and Gwen Sherman bought the ranch in 1994, they weren't just buying property. They were stepping directly into a legacy of stacked, accumulating weirdness. On the day they moved in, Terry Sherman got a cryptic warning from the previous owner: "Keep the floodlights on." Terry laughed it off. He wasn't laughing 2 weeks later. The first night, the family's guard dogs began barking furiously at the tree line. Terry flicked on the floodlights, but saw nothing. Just as abruptly, the barking stopped. An unnatural, suffocating silence fell. The next morning, both dogs were gone, vanished. No fur, no blood, no tracks. A cold dread began to seep into their lives. A few nights later, Gwen spotted a creature in the pasture. Through binoculars, she saw it was tall, skinny, and moved with a jerky, unnatural motion. Terry grabbed his rifle and walked out to investigate. It wasn't a cow, it was a creature on 4 legs, standing 6 feet tall at the shoulder with coarse black fur and an unnervingly long snout. It stared at him with a terrifying intelligence. He fired the entire magazine. 7 shots, dead center. The beast merely turned and trotted into the brush. No blood trail, no limp, nothing. By week 6, they were losing cattle every few days. Each carcass was a grotesque display of precision. An ear removed, tongues clawed out, genitals excised, and always zero blood on the ground. A local vet who examined the remains was baffled, suggesting the cuts were made with a laser or a scalpel cooler than the surrounding tissue. Then came the crop circles. Terry's son discovered a perfect 30-foot wide circle pressed into their wheat field. The stalks were bent, not broken. Soil samples later showed the ground inside the circle had been heated to 300 degrees, Fahrenheit 2 inches below the surface, yet the straw on top was unburned. Life became a siege. Rifles were kept by every door. The kids were no longer allowed outside after sunset. Then the voices began, faint whispers in English and in languages no one recognised. The couple started sleeping in shifts, always guarding against the unseen. The climax arrived on July 4th, 1995. While filming the kids with sparklers, a low hum began to build. The home video camera tilts up, and inside a cloud, a doorway-shaped hole of pure blackness opens. A bright blue orb drops down before snapping sideways at impossible speed and vanishing. The footage became known as the portal clip. 2 weeks later, the Shermans had had enough. Traumatised and broken, they sold the ranch in 1996, fleeing a legacy of terror and unknowingly paving the way for the next chapter of the ranch's bizarre history. Enter Robert Bigelow, a hotel magnate with an obsessive interest in the paranormal. When he read the Sherman story, he didn't see crazy talk. He saw a scientific challenge. He bought the ranch within 72 hours. Bigelow immediately established the National Institute for Discovery Science, or NIDS. He staffed it with PhDs, ex-FBI agents, and retired Army intelligence officers. Their mission was ambitious: wire the entire 512-acre property with CCTV, magnetometers, and infrared cameras, all monitored from a 24-hour command center. Their orders: get concrete, undeniable evidence. For the next 9 years, the NIDS team lived and breathed the ranch, logging 98 distinct unexplainable anomalies. These weren't fleeting glimpses, these were events corroborated by multiple team members and their instruments. Some highlights: a 220-pound cow was found lifted clean over a fence and deposited inside a precise 12-foot circle of pressed grass with no tracks or signs of machinery. A 40-foot wide delta-shaped craft hovered silently for 12 minutes, confirmed on ground radar, but every single infrared camera on site failed simultaneously, rebooting only after the craft vanished. The hole in the sky the Shermans witnessed appeared twice more. Both times, compasses on the ground spun wildly. Their microwave sensors spiked to levels so extreme they fried 2 new laptops. And then there were the red-eyed canids. A pack of large wolf-like creatures circled a team vehicle for 45 minutes. Thermal cameras recorded normal body temperatures. But when a team member fired a warning shot, the creatures vanished in a single frame of video. Yet, a profound frustration set in. Every time they tried to box the phenomena, it slipped away. Tissue samples from mutilated cattle yielded no foreign metals. Soil samples showed elevated magnesium, but nothing definitive. And the dramatic magnetometer spikes never synced on 2 devices at once. By 2004, NIDS disbanded. Bigelow had poured millions into the project, but conclusive peer-reviewable evidence remained out of reach. Their final report, though never officially public, ended with a chilling line: the anomaly appears to exhibit intelligence and evasion. It wasn't just random, it was behaving as if it knew it was being watched. In 2007, the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, quietly launched the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP. Ostensibly, its mission was to study military UFO encounters, but buried in its records was the geospatial designation for Skinwalker Ranch, Suddenly, this obscure plot of land was a matter of national security. Congressional records later confirmed that $22 million was funneled into Bigelow's new company, BAASS, to evaluate novel threats. The ranch had become a classified Department of Defense asset. Former Senator Harry Reid, a key proponent of AATIP, was instrumental in its funding. He stated on record that the goal was to know if the Russians or Chinese had leapfrogged us in technology, or if something else was stepping through holes in our sky. The project was shrouded in secrecy, deemed too sensitive for public consumption. In 2017, after a New York Times expose blew the lid off the program, the Pentagon was forced to comment. A spokesperson stated the data remains under review, but Luis Elizondo, the former director of AATIP, was more direct. He stated, "We confirm physical effects, ionized air, magnetic spikes, acute radiation, but we never identified the platform. The platform may not be from here." The former head of a Pentagon program directly linked the ranch to something potentially not of this earth. In 2016, Robert Bigelow sold the ranch to Brandon Fugel, a Utah real estate tycoon who is young, media savvy, and has no problem putting cameras everywhere. His philosophy, if you can't beat it, document it and share it with the world. He partnered with the History Channel to launch The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. His team transformed the property into a high-tech lab, deploying 24/7 LiDAR scans, a massive telescope, and a 1.6 gigawatt laser meant to excite invisible phenomena. He also brought on staff astrophysicist Dr. Travis Taylor to ensure scientific rigor. Sometimes the ranch delivers. In one episode, the team launched a weather balloon equipped with sensors. At 3,200 feet, the transmission cut off. Simultaneously, radar showed a streak shooting downwards from 80,000 feet, the edge of space, and the balloon vanished. Radar confirmed the object dropped from that altitude in 0.8 seconds. That's Mach 85. There was no sonic boom, no atmospheric friction trail. A stunned Dr. Taylor turned to the camera. "We just saw something drop out of orbit and vaporize our probe. That's not ours." The ranch has since become a magnet for the curious. Fugel has strict rules. No one enters without signing a massive liability waiver and a non-disclosure agreement that expires 70 years after death. Those gruesome cattle mutilations, skeptics argue the patterns match the feeding habits of scavengers. Blood quickly drains into the dry soil, and bloating can stretch wounds, mimicking surgical precision. That bulletproof wolf, a classic case of mice identification and adrenaline in poor visibility. Terry Sherman's fear could have led to missed shots perceived as ricochets. Human perception under duress is notoriously unreliable. The portal clip, skeptics suggest it was a temperature inversion combined with a distant rocket launch, creating a visual distortion. And the Pentagon's $22 million, many see it as government waste wrapped in a UFO foil to avoid public scrutiny. Skeptic Robert Schaefer summed it up. "The only consistent phenomenon at Skinwalker Ranch is the check clearing." Yet even Schaefer concedes a crucial point. The 2004 NIDS dataset lists magnetic spikes above 8,000 milligauss, strong enough to interfere with pacemakers and potentially spark hallucinations. So if you strip away the cryptids and UFOs, the land itself might be a natural anomaly, screwing with human perception and blurring the line between reality and illusion. Alright, pause for a second. After everything we've just discussed, all the eyewitness accounts, the scientific investigations, the terrifying incidents, what do you honestly think is behind the weirdness at Skinwalker Ranch? Is it all just an elaborate hoax, a clever manipulation for fame and fortune? Is it a fascinating, albeit terrifying natural anomaly, a geological quirk that warps reality? Or is it, as some suggest, a genuine visitor check-in desk, a portal to somewhere else, a place where the universe simply doesn't play by our rules? Drop your theory, your best guess, your most compelling argument in the comments section below. Keep it concise, maybe under 200 words. We'll be reading them, and the most insightful or creative one just might get pinned to the top. And while you're down there, if you're finding this deep dive as captivating as I am, do me a huge favour, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. It tells the YouTube algorithm that we're not crazy, just incredibly curious, and it ensures you won't miss our next journey down an equally fascinating rabbit hole. We've got fresh episodes packed with unsolved mysteries and inexplicable phenomena every single week. Trust me, the rabbit hole only gets deeper. Let's consider the ultimate question. Could Skinwalker Ranch be a portal? In theoretical physics, portals aren't just fantasy. Einstein-Rosen bridges, or wormholes, are hypothetical shortcuts through space-time. The problem is they require exotic matter with negative energy to stay open. A 2021 paper in Physical Review D calculated that a stable wormhole would need the energy equivalent of Jupiter's mass, unless it formed at a pre-existing weak spot in space-time. And what would a weak spot look like? Theoretical physicists suggest a place where geomagnetic field lines converge, cosmic rays spike, and ancient fault lines vent ionized gases. Skinwalker Ranch checks every box. It sits on a geological fault, is known for unusual magnetic readings, and seems to be geologically active. Dr. Jack Sarfati, a theoretical physicist consulted by Fugel's team, has taken this idea further. He claims the ranch sits on a gravity null, a point where Earth's magnetic dip is 11 degrees off normal. Plug that anomaly into Einstein's field equations, and Sarfati suggests you get a natural, perhaps flickering wormhole. You wouldn't see a shimmering vortex. You'd see exactly what NIDS logged: radar glitches, spinning compasses, and sudden cold spots. Then there's the unsettling cattle behaviour. Ranchers worldwide report animals avoiding certain fairy circles or cold spots. At Skinwalker Ranch, the correlation is chilling. Every single cattle mutilation reportedly happened inside one of these circles, typically within 36 hours of a significant sky anomaly or UFO sighting. Correlation isn't causation, but a pattern this persistent and terrifying stops looking like a coincidence. It starts looking like a connection between the sky and the ground. Beyond the science, there's a deeper reason Skinwalker Ranch captivates us. We crave liminal spaces, thresholds where the known world brushes against the unknown. From the Bermuda Triangle to Dyatlov Pass, we are drawn to places where reality seems to fray. Skinwalker Ranch is the perfect blank canvas for this need. It's remote, rugged, and rich in both indigenous myth and modern anxieties about government secrecy. The ranch has become a cultural pressure valve. It lets us project our fears about technology, our guilt over colonized land, and our hope that we are not alone in the cosmos. It's where ancient shapeshifters and modern UFOs coexist. Every new sighting and TV season keeps the myth alive and helps the local economy. Hotel occupancy in nearby towns jumps 30% during filming. Local guides sell out UFO nights. Skinwalker Ranch isn't just a ranch anymore, it's a phenomenon we can't look away from. So here's the condensed version. The Sherman family is tormented by bulletproof wolves and sky portals, forcing them to flee. A billionaire, Robert Bigelow, brings in scientists who conclude the anomaly appears to exhibit intelligence and evasion. Then the Pentagon sinks $22 million into the ranch, with its former officials hinting the platform may not be from here. Today, a new owner, Brandon Fugel, has turned the ranch into a high-tech lab, recording objects dropping from space at Mach 85. Skeptics point to natural causes and financial motives, but struggle to explain documented magnetic spikes strong enough to cause hallucinations. Meanwhile, theoretical physics suggests a portal is possible at a location with the ranch's exact geological and magnetic properties. Whether Skinwalker Ranch is an interdimensional truck stop, a top secret weapons test bed, or just the weirdest piece of dirt on Earth, one thing is clear. The closer we look, the more the pattern seems to look back. It's a place that asks more questions than it answers and refuses to be ignored. If you've got a theory that stitches all of this together, I want to read it. Type it out below and let's keep this conversation going. While you're at it, tap that like button. It tells the algorithm that we're not crazy, just endlessly curious. For more deep dives into unsolved mysteries every week, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And remember, the next time you see a flicker in the sky, or a strange shadow, maybe don't assume it's just a trick of the light. Sometimes the door swings both ways.